And I'm going to now talk about writing equations of lines. Now, let's go ahead and let's pose a question here again. Let's say find the equation of the line with slope negative 2/3 and y-intercept (0.7). All right, now you have to go back to your formula sheet here, and you have to know which form deals with slope and y-intercept. Now, actually, this would be one of the easiest questions on the test if anyone would ever ask you this. So we would say, hey, that would be y equals mx plus b, slope-intercept form. We could say that the slope is the m number, and that 7 would be where the line crosses y. So to write your first equation here, we can just say that that is y equals negative 2/3 x plus 7. So that's putting it in slope-intercept form. Now, what if someone said, write this equation in standard form or general form? All right, you might go, oh my gosh, well that's easy too, because to get it in general form, and you have to of course know what general form is ax plus by equals c. Now here's where a lot of my lecture classes messed up on this. When we move the 2/3 x over by adding it to both sides, we end up with 2/3 x plus y equals 7. Now, if you look at your handout in that first box, that is not general form because you can't have fractions in general form. So to clear the fractions, and this is why we did equations in the earlier chapter, we are going to multiply through by the LCD of 3, and that will clear the fractions. Now notice this number here, always remember, keep positive. All right, now in this case, when we moved it over, it became positive, but if it's not positive, you can make it positive by multiplying by a negative instead of the positive we did. So what we're going to end up with is this equation, 2x plus 3y equals 21. So that would be the general form they are after. So sometimes they'll ask you to write the equations in slope-intercept form or functional form, and I'll mention that too. Let me just clear this off. Now I'm going to say slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. In functional form, replace y with f of x. So in functional form, we get f of x equals mx plus b. So it's very similar. I mean, if they say write in functional form versus write in slope-intercept form, if you can solve for y, you're going to be very successful. All right, now back to the handout. I think we have pretty much covered here tonight most of this handout, and we still have a good 20 minutes left, so this is great. So I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, we got this box, this standard form. We got slope-intercept form. We've got this one. We've got this one. You know which one's left. And this last form here, this point-slope form, is so important. I have a special name for it, and I'm going to write it right now. The point-slope form for the equation of a line Young calls the equation writer. All right, and notice here in this box, always go here when given a point or 2 points to write the equation of a line. Okay, so that's very important. Always go here when given a point or 2 points to write the equation of a line. So start with this equation if you're writing an equation, and then we can show you how to change to the other two very easily. Okay, so this is the last box in chapter 3. All right, so I'm going to erase this here real quick, and I'm going to pose another question. Find the equation of a line through the point -1, 3 with a slope of, let's say, just to be really mean, and let's not be mean here. Let's start out with a decent slope number. Let's put a slope of 4. Okay, now again, whenever you see find the equation or write the equation of the line or whatever here, we want to go right to the equation writer. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and label what I was given again. So whenever you're given stuff, it's like that old football adage, take what the defense gives you. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say this first point is x1, y1. The slope number is m. Now also I'm going to put under here in green, or let's go get back to that cool purple here. The x and the y here in the equation never change. You always need an x and a y to write the equation of a line. So the only thing that changes is the x1, y1, and m number whenever you plug in. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. And we will say y minus y1 up top is y minus 3 equals m. Now the slope number is 4 times x minus x1 is x minus -1. Now you have to be real careful in here because that minus and negative sign errors again are instant death when it comes to these. So right now we have gotten the equation of that line and using the equation writer in point slope form. All right, now let's say we want to go ahead and change this to the other two forms. What we're going to do is we are going to mystify you now. We are going to change from this form to both slope-intercept form and we're going to go general form on this, just to show you that you can write this a multitude of ways, but it's going to be the same equation. All right, now to do this, we're going to distribute the 4 through, and either way we do it, we have to distribute. So we're going to, and then remember to solve for, to get the equation in slope-intercept form, we need to solve for y. We need to get y by itself. So here we go. Y minus 3 equals distributing 4x plus 4. And to get y by itself, we're going to add 3 to both sides. So y is going to equal 4x plus 7. Now, there is a way to check this, ladies and gentlemen out there in the studio audience. Check by plugging this point back in here. Make sure it works. Make sure that point satisfies that equation. So if I plug 3 in for y and -1 in for x, does this check? I'll get -4 plus 7 is 3. This point will satisfy that equation. All right, now how quick would it be to go ahead and change from this slope-intercept form to general form? Well, we would just take and bring this over here. Now the general form is ax plus by equals c. So we would have to subtract 4x from both sides of the equation. And we would end up with a minus 4x plus y equals 7. And that's general form, right? No. You should be screaming bloody murder because they never want this first number to be anything but positive. So I know it's a small detail, but it's a detail that you must get. So multiply or divide everything through by -1. And there is your answer. My negative's not coming out on the 7. Here it goes. All right, so you'll get positive 4x minus y equals -7. Now, also, you can check, and let me find a cool color here. You can also check, and I'll use blue here, that point in there. So if I plug -1 in for x, and I plug 3 in for y, do I get -7? And you can check these equations because, yes, it does check. So I guess now my question to y'all would be, which form do you like the best? Do you like the point slope form? Okay, so I'm going to circle that in yellow. Do you like solving that for y and getting the slope-intercept form? Or do you like the general or standard form? Now, all three of these represent the same line. Okay, they all are the same line. They are just written in different forms, and you must be able to navigate through the two forms. All right, I may have time for a few more questions, a few more problems to work out tonight, which will hopefully help you. And I hope these chats, if you can come or not and ask questions in person or just watch them, will help you go through the sections and stuff. So let me go ahead here, and I want to take one more. And of course, you can go back and watch these as many times as you want. I'm archiving this chat, so shouldn't be a problem. I'm just going to type the question here real quick. Find the equation of the line through the points -2, 5 and -6, 13. Okay, so let's go ahead and pull the equation writer out. Here we go. So start here, y minus y1, whenever you're asked to write the equation of a line, equals m times x minus x1. And we're just going to go ahead here and we're going to label these points again, take what the defense gives us as x1, y1, and x2, y2. And again, we're going to write both of these answers. We're going to go ahead and write the answers to this line in all the forms. We're going to write it in standard or in general form, slope-intercept form, and point slope form. Okay, now they're going to throw us a little bit of a trick on this one, so let's watch out here. So let's plug in what we have. Y minus y1, looking up top, y minus 5 equals m. That was my Scooby-Doo voice. We don't know m in this one. They don't just give us m like they did that last example. Oh, those mean people. X minus x1 would be x minus -2, which of course we're going to call x plus 2. Now, if there was only a way to get the slope of the line here. Oh yeah, there is. And this is something we talked about earlier in the chat. We can use the slope formula. M equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we will get 13 minus 5 over -6 minus a -2 there. Again, oh, watch those signs in there. And that will give us 8 over -4, which will reduce to -2. So that is what we have to take and plug in over here. So this one we'll put a little red spot on. They didn't just come right out and hand us the slope. We had to work for it a little bit. But that's all right. That's what America was founded on, is hard work. Little hard work don't hurt us. All right, so we'll go ahead and change that x minus -2 to x plus 2. And there we go again. Voila, we have point slope form, or as I like to call it, the equation writer. Now, let's change to slope-intercept form. And again, if you look at your handout, it just says solve the equation for y. So we're going to, again, distribute. We're going to say y minus 5 equals -2x minus 4, distributing. Add 5 to both sides. And we will get y equals -2x plus 1. Now, to check, use your points up top. So let me go ahead and I'll go back to some colors here. You can use either one of these 2 points to check the answer. So I think I'll use the right point there. I'm going to show you that when y is 13 and x is -6, see, if you plug that second point in there, this is going to make perfect sense. It will check. You'll get 12 plus 1, negative times negative is positive 13. If you use the other point, it would also work. Right? Now, if you wanted to write that in functional form, you would just say f of x equals -2x plus 1. So I'll make a little note here. We'll really go crazy on this one. We'll go all the forms here. So I'll put down here functional form. All right, so we've got point slope form, functional form, slope-intercept form, and if we want to go general form on this, it's just a matter of getting the feel for them. We just have to get the x's and y's on one side, the numbers on the other. So if we want to take this -2x plus 1 and bring it over, we can just add 2x to both sides. So we'll get 2x plus y equals 1. And again, those 2 points would check if we plugged them in and did it. All right, so writing equations of lines in that last section, one of the toughest things. All right, I think I'm going to have time for one more here. All right, so this will be like one of the toughest of the tough problems. All right, this one brought fear to my lecture classes. Find the equation of a line through the point to -5, and here comes the big word, and perpendicular to this equation, 2x minus 3y equals 1. All right, now this one's got all kinds of beast in it here, so this is a good one to finish up with. All right, now again, I'm going to go ahead and label what they gave me here. I am going to label this ordered pair, since they only gave me one of them, x1, y1. Now, of course, if they would have given me 2 like the last example, I would have put x2, y2, and so forth. But just x1, y1 there. And I'm going to go ahead and write the equation writer. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. And we can start plugging in here. Here we go. So y minus -5 will be here. Y minus y1 equals, here comes the Scooby-Doo voice again. I don't know the slope. They didn't give it to me again. They're making me work for it again. Oh, that mean author. So we need to find the slope, but again, be careful because look at what word they're using here, and I'm going to circle it. It is huge. All right, so we're going to go ahead on this one and solve the equation for y to figure out what the slope is. So here we go again. We've been down this road. So we're going to subtract 2x from both sides, and we're going to get negative 3y equals negative 2x plus 1. Divide by negative 3. And y equals 2/3 x minus 1/3. Now, my lecture classes are going, plug 2/3 in for the slope, young, plug 2/3 in. They all saw in this form that the slope is 2/3, but notice again, they're evil in this problem. They said, what is the slope of the perpendicular? The negative reciprocal. See, so if you're not careful on how these are worded and understand your stuff, you could be in deep doo-doo. So be very careful there. So we end up with y plus 5 equals negative 3/2 times x minus 2. And there is our point slope form again. So this is the easiest way, I think, to write the equation of a line. Now let's go ahead and change to functional notation here real quick, and I'll just say on this one, let's do that. I'll put a little, type that in here. Or let's call it functional form. So again, remember, functional form is just the y equals mx plus b, but you just have to change y to f of x. So we're just going to go ahead and distribute y plus 5 equals negative 3/2 x plus 3. Now that's negative 3/2 times negative 2. Sometimes it's just a little math stuff that kills. People don't cross-cancel fractions and stuff right. And then we'll subtract 5 from both sides and show your steps. So this would be y equals negative 3/2 x minus 2, or in functional form, f of x equals negative 3/2 x minus 2. Now, would this check? You're darn tootin'. If we come down here, we take that point and we say, hey, what is f when x is 2 in that form evaluated? It would be negative 3/2 times 2 minus 2, which negative 3/2 times positive 2 is minus 3 minus 2, and you will notice that y comes out to be minus 5. So in this functional form, f of 2 equals negative 5. It's just a fancy way to write the ordered pair 2, negative 5. So you can see in this functional form, it does check. So that is a quick rundown of Chapter 3. I will be back next week at some time to go ahead and work on some 4 topics and finish some 3 topics. Bob Young signing off. I hope this helped everyone.